In 1893, beneath the dust-choked ruins of Combe Ombo, a German archaeologist named Friedrich Lehmann unearthed a sealed sandstone chamber no larger than a monk's cell. Inside was a copper scroll case, etched with patterns resembling serpents intertwined with geometric sigils, impossible patterns that seemed to shift when looked at directly. The case was empty, or so it appeared. But days later, Lehmann reported strange vibrations in the chamber, as if the air had a pulse. He began speaking in broken Demotic Egyptian during sleep. Then, one night, he vanished from his tent without a trace. All that remained was his journal. The final entry read, "I have found the ninth gate. May the ibis forgive me." Scholars dismissed his disappearance as heat-stroke-induced madness. Yet for a handful of occultists embedded within the Theosophical Society and the Prieur de Sion, Lehmann's discovery confirmed a legend that had survived only in fragments, that the god Thoth, scribe of the gods, lord of hidden knowledge, once entrusted humanity with a ritual so potent it could bend the flow of time. This ritual was divided into 9 stages, 9 gates, each guarded by symbols of reality itself. Light, sound, thought, memory, flame, breath, blood, shadow, and finally, the 9th, Chronos, the devourer. Hooked by whispers passed through forgotten monasteries and underground grimoires. A secret cadre of scholars formed the Athanor Circle, believing Lehmann had succeeded in decoding the first 8 gates. They gathered in Alexandria, hiding within the derelict catacombs beneath the Bibliotheca Alexandrina's ancient foundations. Their mission: reconstruct the lost ritual from scattered parchments, tomb carvings, and a set of obsidian tablets said to be gifted to man before the Great Deluge. The story was too consistent across cultures to ignore. In Mesopotamia, it was Enki's reversal, a spell known only to high priests of Eridu. In the Vedic texts, it became Kalachakra Vrata, the wheel beyond time, and in the fragmented Corpus Hermeticum, it was reduced to cryptic lines: "When the hour is inverted, and stars bleed black, the gate shall open." But it was the Coptic manuscript discovered in 1927 in a hidden chamber beneath Mount Athos that truly terrified the Athanor Circle. It described a ceremony involving a bronze pendulum, a mirror of polished hematite, and a series of spoken vibrations that could fracture the barrier between past and present. The ritual had one requirement: a sacrifice not of flesh but of memory. One practitioner had to give up their entire lineage, severing the karmic chain that tied them to time itself. Without this, the ritual would collapse into chaos. In 1932, a monk named Father Anastasios attempted the gate's 5th stage in a hidden ossuary in Cappadocia. Witnesses said the air turned to glass and the sky cracked with thunder underground. He emerged blind but smiling, repeating only one phrase in ancient Greek: "I have seen the beginning backwards." He died 7 minutes later. His heartbeat was recorded to accelerate to 310 BPM in his final seconds. The Athanor Circle went silent in 1940. Some believe they were destroyed by the Vatican's Index Obscurorum, a secret Inquisition branch that eradicated dangerous knowledge. Others believe they succeeded and vanished on purpose. But in 1971, deep in the archives of Prague's Strahov Monastery, an uncatalogued volume surfaced. Bound in eel skin and sealed with pitch, it was titled Porte Inex. Within were 63 pages, each one describing a component of the ritual, but the final page had been violently torn out. What remained was a burned sentence: "When the 9th gate opens, the hourglass shall turn from blood." By 1986, a physicist named Dr. Andrei Kalyakov began experimenting with phonon resonance, a method of manipulating sound to affect molecular vibration. Unbeknownst to his government handlers, Kalyakov was secretly following diagrams lifted from the Athanor texts. He claimed certain harmonic frequencies could slow atomic decay, a kind of time dilation in a confined space. His lab in Novosibirsk exploded after an unlodged experiment. His final communication was a spectral audio file in which a disembodied voice says, "I have seen the clock turn inside out." The voice was confirmed to be Kolyakov's, but slowed to 1/4 speed, his mouth moving faster than time allowed. In 2009, a Syrian relic smuggler named Samir al-Rashid claimed to have obtained the lost final page of Ninth Thoth. He arranged to meet an antiquarian in Istanbul. The dealer arrived to find Samir burned to ash, entirely incinerated, yet his leather briefcase remained untouched. Inside was a single page etched into gold leaf and wrapped in human skin. It bore a symbol not seen in any previous documents, an eye pierced by a spiral. Beneath it, 3 words in Proto-Atlantean script: Chronos devorat omnia. Time devours all. In the years that followed, select esoteric groups began speaking of temporal fractures, events where reality had briefly skipped or people had been seen in 2 places at once. A high-level CERN technician was reportedly found frozen in time mid-step during a particle test, his watch ticking forward while his body remained immobile for 37 minutes. No explanation was given. The incident was redacted and the technician reassigned to a psychiatric facility in Geneva. And now, in 2025, a new thread has emerged. A scroll fragment recently surfaced in a private auction in Marrakesh, unlisted, misidentified as Hebrew mysticism, but a linguistic analysis suggests it is written in a dialect older than Akkadian. The translation? The gate opens when the hour is unmade. The stars shall blink and the scribe shall rise. The scroll contains a diagram matching Lehmann's journal sketch from 1893, a looped Ouroboros surrounding 9 interconnected glyphs. The 9th glyph is intentionally left incomplete, but under black light a spiral appears, etched in dried hematite. Bloodstone ink. As of this writing, several intelligence agencies have expressed interest in acquiring the scroll. Yet a private researcher, name withheld, claims to have activated the first 3 stages. In a video leak now purged from the internet, he stares into the camera, eyes bloodshot, whispering, "The stars don't shine. They scream." Behind him, the walls bend inward, as if space is collapsing in real time. The footage cuts off. No trace of the man remains. And still the question remains. If the 9th gate was truly opened, even once, what ripples has it already sent across our history? Were the fall of Atlantis, the burning of the Library of Alexandria, and the collapse of Rome merely the aftershocks of an event far older than we dared imagine? Could it be that the ritual has no author, because it wrote itself into being? The 9th gate is not a doorway, it is an act, a collapsing of the eternal return, and somewhere, someone has already walked through. The man who walked through the 9th gate was never identified by name. In the recovered pages of the so-called Rashamra Codex, now held in secret archives beneath Montserrat Abbey, he is only referred to as the Witness. According to the Codex, he was neither priest nor scholar, but chosen, selected by the ritual itself. The Codex claims he did not step into the gate, but rather was born from it, backwards. His life a series of events playing in reverse until the moment he completed the 9th rite. The scribes wrote that time clung to him like ash to flame, unwilling to let go. The Rashamra Codex details a phenomenon it calls chronopain, an affliction of those who glimpse too far beyond the veil. Victims experience sudden nonlinear memories, dying before they are born, bleeding from wounds they have not yet received, recognizing people they have never met. In all cases, the symptoms culminate in a phrase spoken in trance: "He is writing the world again." What he refers to remains unstated, but the implication is chilling, that someone or something is actively revising history. In 2013, at the edges of the Taklamakan Desert, a team of Sino-Tibetan archaeologists found what they believed to be an abandoned Han Dynasty temple. Beneath it, buried under strata of scorched glass and blackened stone, they uncovered a chamber with no entrance, only a mural on the wall depicting 9 spiral gates and a man holding a flaming mirror. Inside the sealed room, no body, no artifact, just a melted obsidian ring and a phrase etched in Aramaic: Chronos was broken here. By 2015, temporal anomalies were quietly documented by researchers at Caltech's Quantum Information Science Lab. One experiment involved entangled photons subjected to precision-timed interruptions. The result? Several instances where the second photon reacted before the first was manipulated. These violations of causality were dismissed publicly as experimental noise. Privately, however, emails surfaced discussing gating events and referencing a 1939 MI6 report titled Operation Thoth. That report has never been declassified. In the private library of Count Guillaume de la Croix, a 17th-century French mystic known for translating suppressed texts, an obscure manuscript titled Clavis Tempus speaks of ritual interference. The text claims that certain chants, when spoken within precise star alignments, create temporal dissonance, a gap in the continuity of events. One passage reads, "When the stars form the shape of the mirror, speak not, for your voice may enter history where it does not belong." This idea that ritual can echo backward has become central to those studying the Ninth Gate. In 2021, drone scans over a restricted zone in Antarctica revealed a geometric structure beneath the ice, buried over 2 miles deep. Satellite thermal imaging showed faint energy patterns forming a glyph nearly identical to the ninth symbol, an eye within a spiral. Data was erased within hours, and the researchers' server nodes were seized under joint authority of 3 alphabet agencies. But a backup survived, sent anonymously to a fringe esoteric group calling themselves the Anointed Remnants of Zep Tepi. The ice structure is not man-made nor alien, but temporal, a looped event crystallized into physical matter. According to their leaked correspondence, the shape of the buried chamber suggests it was folded into place, as if time itself collapsed inward and froze into architecture. More disturbingly, they claim to have recovered part of a metallic plate bearing an inscription in Proto-Sanskrit. "I was here before I arrived. I built this to remember what I must forget." A renowned psychoanalyst and dream researcher, Dr. Mahir El-Amin, began recording the dreams of trauma victims in regions affected by sudden, unexplained disasters. Over 6 years, he catalogued over 900 reports of nearly identical visions: a spiral of fire, a silent gate with no door, and a voice reciting syllables unknown to any human language. Several patients attempted to replicate the sound, often entering seizures, but one, a mute boy from Aleppo, drew a perfect replica of the Ninth Gate glyph in ash, blindfolded. In every age the pattern returns. Empires rise, glimpse the edge of forbidden knowledge, and collapse not by war but by memory undone. The fall of Sumer, the vanishing of the Indus Valley, the erasure of the Olmec codices. Each time a ritual hidden behind symbols, encoded in languages mankind never spoke, yet somehow remembers. Could it be that time itself rejects human interference and resets, or worse, that someone is forcing these resets? In a 4th-century translation of the Book of Enoch, hidden in the Ethiopian highlands, a cryptic annotation appears in the margin. "He who opens the ninth gate walks where angels fear to look, for in that place names burn." What names implies is unclear, but some believe it refers to identity itself. That the final stage of the ritual does not bestow power, but strips away self, allowing something older to wear the body like a mask. And now a scholar of ancient theurgy, name suppressed for protection, has published a cryptographic pattern derived from Thothic permutations found in the Hermetica. When mapped onto astronomical transits, it pinpoints April 13, 2026 as a potential alignment for activation of the Ninth Gate. The warning at the bottom of his manuscript is simple: close all mirrors, bury your name, the ritual seeks a host. Reports are emerging of mass dream convergence across multiple continents, dreams of a door that bleeds light, of time stuttering, of people being pulled backwards through their own shadows. Psychics, monks, and shamans are falling silent mid-ritual. One repeating phrase has begun to appear in automatic writings, trance states, and child drawings. The gate is almost full. What does it mean for a gate to be full? What or who is filling it? And still the question grows like a storm on the horizon. If the ninth gate is not a destination but a device, and if its ritual has already been performed more than once, then are we living in the remnants of a broken timeline? There is a silence deeper than death, one that comes before sound is born. This silence is referenced in a document known only as Fragment Theta, unearthed during the 1902 excavation beneath the ruins of Dura Europus. Sealed in a lead tube and wrapped in papyrus soaked in what researchers described as fossilized ink, the text opens with a chilling line. When the world was unspoken, he wrote the first gate in silence. The entity referred to as he is unnamed, but later lines link him directly to Thoth, not as a god of wisdom, but as an architect of recursive time. In a series of suppressed lectures given at the University of Padua in 1928, Professor Franz Boll claimed to have reconstructed portions of the Chronicon Thoth, a banned Alexandrian manuscript lost in the Serapeum fire. Boll stated that Thoth's original function was not to record knowledge, but to curate timelines. In other words, he did not write what happened, he chose what remained. Boll vanished in 1930 after being summoned to a Vatican conclave concerning esoteric distortions. No public record of that meeting exists. In 1971, a Soviet research team operating under the radar of the KGB uncovered a crystalline artifact in the Siberian permafrost. It emitted no radiation, no magnetic field, but when placed near clocks they reversed. Photographs taken of the object aged backward, developing into blank negatives. The team documented strange dreams and experienced multiple overlapping realities. Their final report concluded with a phrase not in Russian, "Gate 9 stirs." The lead scientist's final journal entry ended abruptly mid-sentence. "We are no longer alone in multiple cultures, scattered across centuries and continents. There exists a ritual phrase, 9 speaks 1 and 1 ends time." It appears in Akkadian curse tablets, in Mayan codices, and scratched into the wall of a collapsed Mithraeum beneath modern-day Frankfurt. The phrase may refer to the ninth gate being a singularity of influence, a point through which many have passed, but only one emerges, changed or worse overwritten. The being that returns may wear the memories of the traveler, but not the soul. In 2024, a mysterious break-in occurred at the Hermetic Archives in Prague. Security footage showed no intruder, only books falling off shelves in synchronized motion. Hours later, archivist Milan Vrana was found unconscious with a burned circle on his palm, 9 concentric rings spiraling inward. When he awoke, he spoke in an unknown language for 3 days, repeating only one phrase in Czech. We summoned him, not knowing who he was. His eyes were entirely white. The skin beneath them appeared. There is a text within a text, hidden in the marginalia of the Codex Asphodel, a 9th-century manuscript long believed to be a myth. Recently verified by spectral imaging in Oxford's Bodleian Library, the Codex contains diagrams of a ritual called the ecliptic unbinding. It involves 9 participants, each representing an aspect of temporal directionality: forward, reverse, recursion, acceleration, delay, distortion, stasis, bifurcation, and a ratio. The 9th figure wears no mask. It is left blank, unillustrated. According to the manuscript of Rasselhall, discovered in the ruins of a collapsed observatory near Mount Ararat, certain star formations allow for what is called chrono-reversal input, a state where thoughts can retroactively imprint into prior reality. The scribe warns, what you think now may alter what was. Be mindful, for the gate listens across all vectors. If true, the 9th gate is not a portal, it is a listening device, tuned to the echo of future thought. Dr. Alaric de Vries, a linguist specializing in undeciphered scripts, has compiled a list of dream phrases reported by 300 individuals worldwide. Each dreamed the same line, "He stands behind time." These were not shared online, nor discussed in any forum, yet all match exactly. Further, in children's drawings gathered from traumatic regions, the same spiral symbol reappears, with eyes forming in the center, not drawn as decoration. As if they were watching. A whistleblower from CERN, speaking under deep anonymity, released a redacted schematic of an experimental containment ring nicknamed Abyss Mirror. It was designed to study quantum event symmetry, but the leaked data implies a different purpose: mapping retrotemporal feedback loops. In the center of the ring, instruments recorded a brief signal, 3 tones 9 seconds apart, each containing layered pre-human phonemes. Analysts now believe it was a ritual sequence, not a message. And now, across forgotten monasteries, in encrypted dreams and carved into stone where no tools can reach, the same sequence is returning. 9 spirals, 9 tones, 9 names never spoken aloud. Each time the pattern reappears, catastrophe follows. Not in fire, not in blood, but in absence. An entire village remembered by none. A book that was never written, yet quoted in ancient texts. A man whose face changes mid-meta. We are not witnessing accidents. We are witnessing edits, and still the spiral tightens. The chant re-emerges in unexpected places. A choir in Bruges hums it unknowingly during a mass. An Amazonian shaman sings it during ayahuasca trance. A dead language, never recorded but somehow remembered by the deaf. Each node adds pressure to the gate, a mechanism awakening from slumber. But what does it want? And so the question deepens, slow and relentless, like a stone descending into black water. If the ninth gate is a ritual not of passage, but of replacement, if it waits not to be opened, but to be completed by a vessel, then who stands on the other side? And more urgently, has someone already completed the ritual? There is a line, carved not written, on a basalt stele locked away in the Vatican's Subbiblioteca 9, known only to a handful of archivists, cleared under Omega Protocol. The line reads, "He who finishes the gate will walk through all time and yet never arrive." The script predates Sumerian cuneiform by several thousand years. Its syntax does not obey linear grammar. The Vatican's own scribes refer to the dialect as chronoglossia, the language of time. In the sun-scorched ruins of Derinkuyu, deep beneath Cappadocia, a sealed chamber was discovered behind a false wall. No tools could breach it, until, inexplicably, on the night of a lunar eclipse it opened by itself. Inside, archaeologists found 9 obsidian tablets arranged around a central basin, filled with mercury. The tablets bore a single inscription: "The unseen hour is already written." But more disturbing than the tablets was the absence of their own reflections in the mercury. A series of unexplained auroral storms over the Atlantic in late 2022 triggered a blackout of satellites near the Azores. During the blackout, a French naval vessel received a signal on an unused Cold War frequency. 9 sequential pulses, followed by what experts identified as a reverse Gregorian chant. Transcribed and reversed, the chant matched an untranslated passage from the Scroll of Emerald Fire, a missing text said to be dictated by Thoth himself, known only through indirect references. The deeper researchers probe into the ninth gate, the more time itself begins to distort around them. A British occultist named Dr. Abraron Mallory documented this in a private journal. Clocks in his presence ran backward, photographs developed before being taken. One evening he found his own handwriting in a sealed 15th century grimoire in Prague, dated 1479. He had never left London. The ink matched his blood type. The entry read, "I opened the gate. I remember dying. I remember before I was born." On the island of Jan Mayen, researchers discovered a weathered stone door in the ice. A spiral carved into its surface, no hinges, no seams. Beneath it, sonar detected a void, not rock, not water, but an impossible absence. a depth that did not match the known geology of Earth. The crew stationed there began reporting vivid dreams in dead languages. One by one they abandoned their posts, drawn to the spiral, whispering, "He is almost through." The last message transmitted before silence was, "It knows the shape of thought." There exists a book never seen in full, called the Unbound Ledger, supposedly passed through generations of hermetic societies, its pages rearranged based on the reader's future sins. Within its shifting chapters lies a diagram referred to only as the spiral crown, believed to be the final formation required to stabilize the ninth gate. The crown, once completed, doesn't open the gate. It chooses who should pass through it. The selection is not based on merit or morality, but on a concept lost to modern understanding: temporal resonance. A fragment from the Book of Tephra, an apocryphal text once held in the secret archives beneath Mount Athos, speaks of the one who walks inside himself until he finds the hour uncounted. This is not metaphor. In deep trance experiments conducted in 1995 by a black-budget DARPA program titled Ouroboros Cell, subjects exposed to audio recreations of the Ninth Gate chant experienced measurable temporal hallucinations. One subject spoke in Akkadian for 3 hours, then died of advanced age. He was 28. A private collector in Tunisia came forward in 2025 claiming possession of the final scroll of Thoth, obtained through a generational bloodline that once served the Library of Alexandria. The scroll was kept sealed in a lead box lined with black salt. He opened it once. He described seeing symbols that rearranged themselves as he read, then forgot what he had read. Since then he hears a voice only in dreams, whispering, "You are already inside." His home now contains no mirrors. Beneath Göbekli Tepe, an uncharted chamber was found after an earthquake in 2023. It was filled with hundreds of standing stones, all pointed inward toward a single obsidian monolith, inscribed with what appears to be an unknown star map. The stars do not match Earth's sky. Scientists identified the formation as consistent with a theoretical gravitational lensing effect, suggesting the stars were seen through time, not space. And within the monolith's polished surface, a faint outline of a hand, not fossilized, recent. And now the rituals accelerate. Across the globe, 9 towers built long ago in Baalbek, Tikal, Abydos, Angkor, and beyond have begun to resonate faintly. No visible energy, but they hum in sync, vibrating at 432 Hz, intermittently dropping to 392 Hz, a tone associated with trauma release and vibrational theory. The pattern suggests a countdown, but a countdown to what? And perhaps the more terrifying question, has the countdown already happened? Some believe the ritual was already performed, once, in secret, by those who vanished entirely from history, their names erased, their cities buried, their languages remembered only in nightmares. But if Thoth was not a myth, not a god, but something far more ancient, an entity that curates reality, then perhaps the ninth gate is not his creation. Perhaps it is him. And now the gate stirs. The spiral completes. And somewhere someone is reading this from the other side.